Shawn Ray here with the four-time Arnold Classic champion, the greatest of all time, as a matter of fact, as it relates to that competition. Flex Wheeler Flex, you're in the history books, and you're also in the record books as the $400,000 man that you've walked away from that competition with. And then along the way, you beat some Hall of Fame bodybuilders, including myself and Kevin Levrone and Chris Cormier and everybody but Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates. No, you did beat Ronnie. Yeah. But with that being said, we watched you kind of evolve over the years, because in 1993, arguably your best condition, you were 218 pounds when you won that first Arnold Classic. The same year, you won 3 other pro shows, which at the time was incredible, and you wound up getting first runner-up in the 93 Olympia. But let's go back to that first win, because nothing is as sweet as the first one, and people are still talking about that some 20-something years later.
You know what? I think probably the best thing that happened to me, Shawn, is for me, I didn't come from being a historian of the sport, and you know, my background and how I was raised and stuff like that, I didn't get an opportunity to look at magazines. I knew who you were, and I knew who Arnold was, and I knew who Lee Haney was, and that's pretty much it. And so for winning that show, I had no idea what the hell was going on. And that probably helped me a lot, because it was more innocent to me at the time. As I competed more and started understanding the sport and the game of the sport, you know, you start kind of getting diluted with the things in the business and the hustle and bustle of guest posing and stuff like that. So that has to be probably one of the sweetest times, is just going into the Arnold, knowing that you went there. I watched you compete there in the Ironman so many years. So yeah, it was a beautiful thing, but I had no idea what was going on. I was like a kid in a candy store, like, wow.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, take us back. How did you get there? I mean, did Arnold himself or Jim himself call you and say, hey, because that's an invitation show? Right.
No, I won the USA, and then immediately on stage, Joe had offered me a contract, and the next thing is to go into Ironman. I mean, honestly, as I said a million times, I want to follow in your footsteps. I said it so many times. So the next thing was to do the Ironman, because it's right in our backyard. And Jim Lorimer gave me a call and invited me to the Ironman. The Arnold. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, so I go and do that. But no, I was back in a time where, you know, things were great, and it's the early 90s. Me and Rico and Chris Cormier were my training partners, and it was beautiful. I remember walking out before prejudging and meeting Chris and Rico in the audience. And I go, man, look, and I pull my pants on. I'm like, look, my glutes are straight. I didn't know, and I'm standing in front of everybody. That's not normally something that you do, but I was just young and innocent at the time. So,
do you remember the weight of that first class Arnold Classic trophy that they presented to you on stage? Because that's what took me back. In 1990 when I won, I was overwhelmed with Arnold coming out, first of all, and then with the blank envelope. But when he handed me the trophy, it felt like light as a feather. But when the adrenaline wore off, that's like a 100-pound trophy.
No, I do remember, because when I grabbed it and I was walking back, as you know, the edges are rather sharp, pointed. And when I was walking back and I stepped down stage, it touched my thigh. And because how lean I was, it ripped right open. Yeah. And I kind of just glanced down. I didn't want to act like anything else, like, damn. So, yeah, it was... Obviously, it still is the heaviest and most magnificent trophy you can have. Obviously, me and you don't have the Olympia trophy, and it doesn't have the weight of it does, but as far as title-wise, it has more weight and everything. So, yeah, definitely. And it's
and we watched you evolve from 218 pounds to, what was your heaviest on the Arnold Classic? Because I think in 98, you were way up there.
Yeah, 38 was the heaviest, and then 52 was at the Grand Prix. 99 was my all-time.
So besides winning 4 times, which happened in the blink of an eye, and no one's ever done that. I mean, Jay Cutler gave it a run. Of course, Dexter Jackson's been trying his hardest to get there and get that 4th Arnold Classic champion. Would you have thought, going into our 25th year anniversary, that what you were doing at the time was making history?
No, I think more so it's what we did back in our era. We competed. I mean, we compete up to 12 times a year. We go to Grand Prix. That's what you did. You just competed. You didn't map out shows and say, okay, I got to get ready for this one. I'm going to take time off. We just freaking competed at the next show and the next show. So, no, it never dawned on me. I know towards the end of my career, I was like, wow, 4. But then, like I said, the weight of everything that took in place, I'm like, well, damn, if I would have won the one with Kevin, that would have been 5. And if I would have won the one with, that I lost in 95, that would be 6. So the record would really be unachievable. But,
let's put it straight. In 95, you were coming off of a broken neck. You were on your deathbed in 94, which kept you out of the Olympia. And in 95, a subpar Flex Wheeler takes first runner-up to Mike Francois, and some people had you beating him.
Yeah, you know, those are good old days. I remember, you know, being on stage with him, and I was exhausted because my diet was just a liquid diet because I couldn't handle food yet from the car accident. And I remember doubling over in between each pose, and I had to go off stage and I asked, could I use the bathroom? And I remember running off stage, and I'm in the bathroom, I'm at the urinal, and you're screaming at me behind me, you gotta want this, you gotta fight for it. And I'm thinking to myself, fuck, I'm about to pass out, man. What are you talking about? And you're in the back, and I remember, like, why is he so hyped up over this show? But again, the magnitude of what was going on, I didn't realize in it. And you were so hyped and almost angry at me because I wouldn't, you know, gear up for this. And I'm just thinking if I can just survive. But
yeah, well, 2 weeks prior, you won the Ironman. I mean, you took Aaron Baker to the cleaners, and Aaron still to this day doesn't acknowledge you won, but you arguably you were the winner of that show, and they acknowledged that. And then here you had this opportunity, and I was in that with you in the moment, and I wasn't understanding the struggle because you made everything look effortless. Yeah. You looked magnificent, but inside you were still recovering.
No, you know, I was having a hard time, and I remember actually years later posing with you and Longwith, what's his name? Richard Longwith, and you guys were helping me pose. And I would do my posing, and then it would be a break, and as soon as the break is over, I would collapse. And then you're like, all right, get ready to go. And he'd be like, well, how do you do that? How do you, like, dead in between it? And when it's time to pose, you stand back up. I go, it's just what you do, but I'm trying to recover in between. So, no, I was on a liquid diet. And even when I won the Ironman, I think from doing that diet and then going into the depths of the battle with Aaron Baker and losing so much hydration and everything in the food, I wasn't able to put that back in me with just drinking liquid. So, again, I mean, it's all over with. It's all said and done, and it's beautiful now. You know, I can look back, and I'm really proud of what happened.
Well, you got 4 titles to your credit. Any of them more special than the next? I mean, I always say the first one, but anything stand out more than the next?
Yeah. What year was it? I think it was 2000. And I remember that because it was a year that Madeline wasn't able to go because we had just had Nia. And they had just had that movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. or whatever, and what's his name? Tom Cruise was like his manager or whatever. And because Madeline couldn't go, Robin came in his place. So I remember me and Robin talking about that, and it was like, show me the money, and all that stuff. And when I won, I was just broke down in tears. I was just sobbing because it was such a struggle of getting there and not having her there. And then Robin on the side, knowing everything we were going to because we were so close and everything. So I think that was probably the most memorable one because it was the toughest for me to come back and compete that. But the all-time probably biggest battle I had is when Chris had defeated me. Which made it even harder because he defeated me in '99, yeah. And then I had to come back into 2000. Like, how do I prove myself to these guys that I'm still worthy? So,
and you did.
Yeah, it turned out all right.
And you got the 4 trophies to prove it, along with the $400,000 earned there in Columbus, Ohio. We're headed back to the scene of the crime, back in Columbus, Ohio, where Flex Wheeler made a name for himself and made history for himself at the 25th anniversary of Champions at the Arnold Classic in Columbus. So for Flex Wheeler, I'm Shawn Ray, MuscularDevelopment.com.